Okay, we are live and back again. For now, I want to work on this application some more, and I now have pop-ups because it's capturing my desktop. So, you know, if you're interested in seeing those little things, we'll be there now. So, yes, took notes down here on what I want to do next. Better text formatting. Let's just get a reminder of where we're at with the actual, what it looks like. Okay, we got text showing up. But we want better text formatting, mess with the colors and the fonts and stuff. So let's get into that a little bit. Right now, we're just add label, add value. And we run these, and it gives us, here's our background colors and our font. So how do we get more font out of this? Let's see, we got font.serif. Can I like make a new font? Is that what I need to do? Get font using string returns a font object from the system properties list. Like for example, Times New Roman. We just do that real quick. Does that actually change the font? Error exists. Okay. Get font. Oh. New font. Is that? Do we want it like this? Is that what it's saying? It's already got it in the system. Method get font is not applicable for string int string font. What are you talking about? What is this method? String and oh. I thought it was telling me to add an int. Okay, well, how do I get a font then? Decode. Get font object from the system properties list. And I'm treated as the name. Is then interpreted as a font. Return a font object. The property name describes are null if it doesn't exist. What is this? Oh, yeah, it just takes in a string. Why? What's the problem here? No, yeah, just pass no one. Why didn't this work? I don't need. Okay, I see. So I'm trying to make a. We don't need that. We just need this. But then, how do I define like the font size and stuff? I thought this would let me pull it out with a different font. It doesn't even work. Characters width because M is null. Yeah, it's null. So we haven't actually set anything for this. How do we get a new font correctly? Let's see. Created font, font peer, dialog input, fonts, true type, size. So like a builder that we need to use. Public font using string name style size. You know what? I'll just manually type it in here. And see if it recognizes that. Does it look any different? I cannot tell at all. Can we make this like a lot bigger? Okay, well, let's say that this one's here. And here's this one. So now we got two open. So here is Arial. And here is Times New Roman. And it definitely looks different. So I guess it's working. I don't know if it's... I guess I don't know much about the differences between these fonts. We'll just leave it at Times New Roman and figure it out later if we want a different font. But it looks like that's all we need to do is just change that. All right, so we could change the font. Let's mess with the boxes here. because it's pretty annoying that the box here, that it has a box in the first place, and then it's not lining up at all. So to think of that not in terms of how to code it, but in terms of what would look good. Because we're going to have some images in the background. I want to make sure that this stands out clear enough. But it looks pretty obnoxious to have this giant box around it. Maybe if the boxes are a little larger. Let's see. Let's give them a little more height. Okay. So they don't look so stuck in it. And then I think we could align these to the right. That way there's more of a fixed space in between them. See how that looks? So this will just be for the labels, though. We don't want to change the values. That's alignment. Horizontal alignment. J text field dot right. Or is it right alignment? Java X swing here. Okay. So if we run that, there we go. Now they're aligned to their parent object. That's a little better. They need more space in between them now because I made the boxes bigger. So let's make these 30. Okay. All right, we're getting somewhere. Looks a bit better. All right, so that's how we do the alignment, no problem. Okay, larger, easy, coloring. Can we color the font? Yes, we already know how to do that. All right, so all this just becomes subjective once we get the other features implemented, which is an image for the background. And we need to make the mesh. Okay, and then we got to get this information loaded from a file. Want page flipping, want to organize the classes. All right, so how about first off, right now we've just kind of got these strings here. Let's define a document that properly, or like a, how do we do this? So we can either define a predetermined list, or, and then everything kind of has to fill into that, like a form, or we can just write it in JSON as key value, and then each key value gets iteratively placed on here, no matter what the key is or the value. And then we'll do all the definitions in the JSON file instead of in here. We could also, if we really need to, like format things differently, we could put the formatting settings in the JSON file. So let's look at what we need to do to start loading in JSON. Okay, library. I don't remember the name of the library that we can use. Best JSON library for Java. You can't go wrong with the best one. Jackson, that's the name of it. All right, so we want Jackson, Maven. Just to make sure we get the right one from here. Hopefully Jackson Core is the right one. And see, yep, I'll just grab the latest one. And here is the Maven entry. So we just copy that, head back to Eclipse. Within here, got a project name. And dependency needs to go kind of somewhere else, doesn't it? I have to make a dependencies list first to put the dependency in. If I recall correctly, is that right? Looks like it. Okay, the spacing on this is just not happening correctly, is it? I think the website was using spaces and I'm using tabs. or vice versa. Okay, there we go. This one, all that one. Okay, fine. All right, so now if we look up here in our Maven dependencies, we've got Jackson. Okay, so with Jackson, we're going to want a file reader. So let's just move this into a new class. And let's move this to a... we'll just do this for one sheet, maybe? No, that'll be like the parsing. So we'll do it for the whole file. I want to parse the whole file out. So this class is going to look up the file. It's going to convert it into something. Either we'll move it into objects or we'll just take it out as strings. Probably do it as objects. So that'll make it easier to organize. So first of all, we want an object that's going to be represented in JSON. Just a POJO. So that could be, let's call it, let's go from the top down, right? We need to like have child elements in this. So let's have one sheet or, yeah, let's have the booklet. Okay. Discourage module name. I don't want the module name to be booklet. How did I? Because I clicked that in the wrong place. Booklet. Project with this name already exists. Okay, I did not want to create a project. Delete. Delete from the disk. Must have not clicked on the package there before typing. Okay, it's telling me what am I? I'm probably not reading this correctly because I'm talking at the same time. Right click, new, yes, not a Java project. Obviously, I want a class. Okay, name of the class is booklet. Okay, within here, we are going to have another new class, and that class is going to be page. And within each page, we are going to have form entries. So within a form entry, we're going to have a private string, which will be the label, private string, which is the value. I could just use a map for this, just key value it. I think for now this is fine. Let's just generate the getters and setters for this. We're going to need that for Jackson. Okay, and then within a page, we want a list of form entries. And we may have to adjust that based on how Jackson is going to work with this. And then within the booklet, again, we want a list. A list should be fine. We don't really need a map. List of pages. Okay. Those are all fine there. I know I need to import here. Still want to import more, huh? Library is not allowed for source level below 1.7. New. Insert inferred type. What are you talking about? It's page. We're making a page. List of, right, I didn't put a list isn't imported yet. That's my problem. Okay, let's import the Java util list. There we go. All right, still got some more complaints. Source level below 1.7. Why am I below 1.7 for my? Need to change this so that we're not in the wrong version of Java for, here we go, compliance. Compiler compliance is at 15, not 1.7. Is it in project compliance? Java compiler. Use compliance. What now? This is 1.5. We don't want that. 1.15. Or 1.8. I don't know. It's 15. Okay. We're good now. There we go. All right. I'd be coding in the wrong version of Java. All right. And then just want to control. Oh, what is the organize import? Is it Control Shift O? Been using a different compiler throughout the day lately. Okay, again, let's make this private. I'm forgetting my shortcuts. My Eclipse shortcuts. Okay, so we got a booklet, we got a page, we got a form entry. We want to make this a JSON object, and I think there's an annotation for this. Okay, so let's look up Jackson. Let's just look up the basics. Basic tutorial. Just to get a reminder, a refresher on how to use this. Jackson Quick Guide. Get your paths, get it all imported. It's just Jackson core. I didn't get the annotations. Maybe that's why I couldn't annotate it. So we got Jackson core. Within Jackson core, I also want Jackson annotations. That's probably what I am missing here. Copy this, get it into our POM. The formatting is going to be all jacked up. Anything? Where's the source format? There we go. Okay. Okay, and then if we come back here, do we have an at JSON? There we go. Okay. So at JSON. JSON include, used to indicate when a value of a property that's for an individual field. Type name. All right, let's make a reader class, and then we'll start to see what kind of parameters are needed for it once we get into it. So let's call this the booklet reader. And this is going to be responsible for implementing Jackson here. So if we look at some simple stuff, we got a JSON string. That's going to end up being a file. And then we want a mapper. We need our object mapper. So let's get a new one of these. Control Shift O, Control Shift I. Nope. What is it? Alt Shift O. Control Shift O. Control O. Where is it? I need to get my import in here. I don't have this imported correctly either. Okay, so what else are we missing here? We want annotations, and I guess we need data bind as well. Data bind. 212.1. Get this into our POM. Source format, that is Control Shift F. All right, and back over here, can we import this now? Yes, okay. So we got our object mapper, and then the way you use it is mapper.readValue. You put in the class that you want to read it to. Now they're reading into a student class. Just find down here, and it looks like they don't have anything. They're not using any annotations, so I know they're not necessary, but they can help later. Looks like we don't need it though. So let's public static void read JSON. All right. And within here, we've got our mapper dot, we need to make this static as well. mapper dot, let's see, we want to deserialize this. But we may not have to use deserialize. What are they using over here? Just read value. Okay. Read value file. Okay, we're going to put a file in there, and then the class type, which is going to be booklet class. All right, and this returns the object that we are expecting, right? Returns T for here. Yes, returns one of those. So this will return a booklet. All right, now we need a file. This takes in a file, so we need file, JSON file equals new file, and we're just going to call this booklet.json. Imports, and what is this? The method read value is ambiguous for the type object mapper. That's because we aren't passing a file in yet. If we change this, is that a bit better? Method read value JSON parser, comma, class is ambiguous. Why is this a JSON parser? I'm just giving it a file. File source class value type. My file here is from Java.io. Oh, just unhandled exceptions. Okay. That is fine. We will just surround it all. Stack trace. Okay, and now we need a file. Need this file to be booklet.json. Okay. I don't know why this is a challenging task. Just making a file, right? Here we go. Okay, geez. All right, and now we're just going to write JSON like JSON. So first is the booklet, which is the main object there. And then within the booklet, we need to have a list of pages. So booklet. Within our booklet, we're going to have what is called pages. And that is going to be an array of objects. One such object is going to be a page. Within that page, we will have a list of form entries. So page, nope, within this is just going to be form entry. Okay, and then each of these form entries are going to have a label and value. So label, we're just going to call label 1, and value, we're going to call value 1. All right, now this is all very incorrect. So the main object here is booklet. We don't need to define that, so we just get rid of that. Within that is pages, or rather within booklet is pages. Within a page is form entries. Okay, and within a form entry is label field. Yes. Okay, so see how close we are with this. We also need our getters and setters for this. All right, and let's see what happens when we actually try to read in our file here. So we're going to get booklet B equals our reader, read JSON, and then we're just going to put a sys out here on B, so we can put a breakpoint in and figure out what's going on. Now we need to change return type of, did I make this void? Yes, okay, we're making a booklet. So we want to this here, and we want to return booklet. Okay. Does not return in all cases, I know. Return, no. Okay. How are we now? Looking okay. So let's run in debug mode. Not worried about that. Remember my decision, do not switch here. I just like the regular view. So within here, we want to get over to this object, B. B is null, so it did not read correctly. Stop that, and let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's see, first of all, if it even found the file. Okay, JSON file. File path is null. Path is booklet.json. I don't know if that actually found the file or not. All right, let's make sure, let's double check anything here. So yeah, you get your student, this converts it to JSON, and there's your object. So now I'm just confirming it. Anything else useful in here before I go? I think we got it's just a huge list. All right, so Java file. Let's make sure we're using this correctly. This is SC7, but it shouldn't have changed too much. Java class file. Path separator, separator character. Constructor just uses a string. Path name. And then exists. Yes, let's just check if JSON file exists. Or rather, if it doesn't, throw new runtime exception. Missing file. Okay, let's give that a shot. Exception in main missing file. Yes, okay, so it's not picking up the file, which is not a surprise. So let's get a file from resource. The way that these work, especially while debugging, is a bit odd. So Java open file in resources. Make sure we get the path correctly defined. I know we could do it through an import stream, but I want a file. Return new file, resource to URI, where resource is class loader. Okay, so this is what we want. Let's just bring this over. And we want booklet.json, file not found, otherwise. We don't need an otherwise. Just if we get to this point, then JSON file equals resource.get, resource to URI. Okay, and then let's see if that runs. Get class.class loader. We are in a static class, so doesn't exactly work that way. class. Make a static reference to the non-static method from the type object. What does this mean again? Find a different one. Get a class loader. We can get that from the current thread instead. Context class loader dot get resources stream. I don't want it as a stream though. I want it as a file. Class loader util. Import streams, resource to string, resources get resource. File name. Not really it. Class loader, get resource, and get resources stream. I don't want it as a stream. Class loader is get class item, but we can't use that in a get class loader. Isn't that what we had? Can I make a static reference to a non-static method get class? How come they can call get class here in their static method? Well, we'll see. So for now, yeah, let's try that and put all of this here inside the try catch. And then we just add this to the surrounding try. Okay, and then we go back to main. We can't just do this statically anymore. It is now a new one. Read JSON, and then we'll figure out why that doesn't work exactly as expected later. For now, let's see if this works. So we have an object down there at the console output, which means if we, what are our buttons here? I'm going to go to step over, which is F6. Okay, we take a look at our booklet here. So we got pages. Within those pages, we got a page. Within that page, we got form entries. Within our form entries, we got a form entry. Within our form entry, we got our field and label. All right. So once we got the file loading, it is actually loading perfectly. So now we need a way to put these out onto the field. Now, let's see. We got a booklet here now. We got a booklet full of all the information we need. And we want to make it so we load in from here instead. So if I put label name, just fill in some value there. So let's go back up here. Let's get my booklet, and then what I want is to do a bunch of loops here. Now, there's only one entry in each list, so it's not going to do much. But within the book, I want page P, get pages, and then within each page, there is a form entry. And within each form entry, no, we don't need to do any more in there because for now we're just doing label field. So at this point, we add label fe.get label. And what is F there? That's the frame, right? So we just want to Put the frame in there. And then add value, get value. All right, and then we just comment these out with, should be Control-Shift-C. Yep, all right, save that and run and see if it's loading from our file now instead. Da-da-da. All right, so now we can add any number of entries here. Just adding a comma and a new line. And when we run it, they all get added. All spaced apart and everything. Looking good. All right. Good. Okay, so now we're reading from JSON for an individual page anyway. For now, if we did add a second page here, which would be through this. Second page here, name, YouTube. All right, if we were to do this, it just gets tacked onto the bottom. Obviously, the goal is to have a separate page. So after a page is done, we need to decide what we're doing with multiple pages. If we're either going to store these somewhere or, you know, instead of just looping through at this point, we could have something like a page loader class, which converts over to the actual page, like it creates a frame and then surrounds it. We could make one frame for each page, maybe. That sounds a bit tedious. We could put a frame inside of this main frame. We have our main window here, and then we create a new frame for each page. So we have basically a booklet frame, and then a list of page frames. Let's see. Booklet. Don't need this anymore since this is working. Let's go make a display class here. A renderer. Let's put it as a page renderer. Okay, and within here, it's going to have its own frame. Private final, we don't want to override that at any point. So our page renderer is going to have its own frame. And then within its constructor, we want to go to our constants and set the size of this window, the frames that we want to work with. So I don't think these take rectangles, right? We'll just take the XY or width height. So let's put this as an int, and we want this to be the page height 600, page width is 600 as well. All right, and during the constructor here, we'll take our frame, call it page frame dot set bounds. You can use a rectangle, but I don't know there's much point to that. That's not what we used before. We didn't use bounds. We used size. That's right. Set size. There's a dimension object we could create instead. Go back to our constants. Click static final dimension, page dimensions, new dimension. I imagine this is just a constructor with 2 inputs. That sounds like exactly what I want. So we'll pass that in there. Set size, page dimensions, obviously from constants, not just anywhere. Let's make sure we're spelling our constructor correctly. Okay, so this will make a new frame when you make the page renderer. We'll come back to the book later because I just want to do one page at a time for now. So within this constructor, let's say that it has to take in a page. Okay, and what we're going to do with that page is call add label and add value. Which will come from these. And these are no longer going to be public and static. These will be private. Okay. And this is not going to be F. This is going to be page frame. And it's not fe.getLabel. It is, we need our loop here. Didn't bring the loop with us. For each in here, we want to add that. Did not copy. Go. Okay, and it's not P, it's just page. All right, so now we have a renderer here, and we want to, for this page, we're going to need a public set void set visibility. B, is that how you do this? If we want to change the frame, set visible, yes, B. Set visibility, and you just pass it in. All right, so now we don't need this anymore. This one will be our booklet frame for now. Okay, we're reading in our book. We don't want this anymore. Booklet frame, need to set here still. But then from here, we're going to want to make a page renderer. New page renderer using our booklet.getPages, get 0 for now. Put that into a loop later. So we've got a page, and then we want to public void make child jframe parent frame. And this will just parent frame dot add page frame. All right. So now if we call page 1 renderer, make child of booklet frame and set visibility to true, we should load the first page in here now. Oop, okay, we broke it. Illegal argument, adding a window to a container. We're not allowed, huh? If my component is an instance of a window. So how do we nest frames then? I just assumed that we would nest a frame within a frame. let's look up the different J objects in Swift here. Because maybe for this render, we don't actually want a frame. We want something else. Let's look at J, control space. We got J frames, buttons, applet, jar entry, file, input streams, combo box, checkbox, component. Can I just do a regular component maybe? Try it. J component, change to JFrame. Well, they rejected me pretty quickly on that one. All right, let's do simple Java X Swift nest frames. Swing, JFrame, Swift breeding and nesting habits. Nest types in action. This is the Swift programming language, not the. It's Swing, not Swift. That would explain the odd results. Fortunately, I still got Swing on one of the three results. So for Swing here, JFrame extends frame, yes, field, JFrame, JFrame, JFrame. This is just some documentation. Okay, here's a sample. Mainframe, could we use a label? Is that what we want? Panel? Ooh, panel sounds good. Let's try a panel. And add label takes, yeah. We don't want this anymore. We want panel. Does that work well? Looks like it. My double click is not kicking off. There we go. Okay, let's see if we are allowed to use a panel here. Errors exist because back over here, I'm creating a new JFrame instead of a panel. Okay, let's try that. Oh, okay, that's something. So it's loading them all in, but it didn't perform the here, this one. And label count plus plus. So it seemed like this value didn't go up correctly. Private int label count is 0. Every time we add label, we should increase this by 1. So let's put breakpoint in here and take a look. Might have something to do with the fact that this isn't static anymore. Now, I'm going to remove my breakpoints because I don't. Where's the continue? Can I just run? Not what I wanted. I need an F8 or something like that. Run 2 lines, step into, resume. There we go. Yeah, F8. Okay, add label, and then I want to step into, where am I? Hold on, let me find my function keys here. So, 4, 5, 6, that is brightness. 6, there we go, back out, and then back in. Okay, and then to go over, it is 6. All right, so we're setting all this stuff. Label count is currently 0. Label count plus plus is now 1. Okay. When we go in here, label count is now 1. Okay. Text field get Y. Brightness again, 6. Okay. And then for the third one here, it should be label count 2. So when we look at the location of this, we got alignment XY, background, where is our position? I want this box to be much bigger. There we go. Okay, so background, LMNOP, appear, pop-ups, there's no position. Where is it? Where would it be? Foreground, format, alignment, editable, drop target. Where does it set the position? Border? No. Boy. Well, it seems like it's using this. All right, and text field get Y should be 30. So it should be 30 times 2, which would be 60. And we've added this page frame to the parent frame. Maybe it's part of being a label, a panel. Maybe the panel doesn't allow you to do anything with that. I guess I should look at what a panel is. Generic lightweight container for examples and task-oriented documentation. See this link. Warning, swing is not thread safe. It's okay, we're not doing multi-threading. Let's go take a look at the panel. An example. Yeah, panel, that's what I want. I want a panel. 1J panel instance, it's colored. It's got some stuff in it. It's looking great. Containment hierarchies. A J-frame is its root. One containment hierarchy has a J-frame at its root. JDialog, JApplet. Adding components, you just do .add. Yes, that is all working great, but for some reason, Y position on these fields being added to J panel, not having their positions working. So if we just disable this breakpoint and let it run again, when we get our pop-up, yeah, basically I think this is just treating it like a, it's odd. It's really odd. Like it adds it to the panel and then the panel figures out what it wants to do with it. So maybe you don't want a panel. What other options we got? How about a label? Label really doesn't sound right. Java swing nested frames. JPanel. Yes, I do want a panel. It feels like what I want. Generic lightweight container, but why is it acting weird? Constructor, accessible, panel UI, param string, set UI, update UI, inherited from container. What do we have from a container here? We got all the adds, component counts, layout, that layout. Layout is in class components. Layout deprecated. Yes, that's all fine. But what is the layout? Here we go. Layout manager. Swing's painting architecture assumes the children of a J component do not overlap. This allows children to overlap. I don't actually want it to overlap. I just want it to work like it did in the frame. Panel, add our objects. We're setting their location, but then it's totally ignoring this. Like if I just comment this out for the label and for that, and then stop whatever's running and run it again. Yeah, it just goes in wherever it wants to. So that's no good. Hmm. I'd like to know kind of what the... Yes, use it for better organization. This is just a Java tip in general, not anything related to Swing. Okay. Creating GUI using Java Swing. What is it? What is a container class? We have a panel used to organize components, a frame, a fully functioning window, and dialog is like a pop-up window, but not fully functional like the frame. All right, so Java Swing. This is just class hierarchy. JFrame is a window, whereas a panel is a component. Okay. And then there's also text field, scroll bar, option pane, menu, list, label, combo box. So here's JButton, JText field, scroll bar, panel. It provides space for an application where it can attach any other component. Set the bounds. Is that part of the problem? We never set the we set the size here. So it must be at the you know, if I just make this like 10, 10. Kind of window do we end up with? Nothing. Yeah, we get that tiny, tiny little spot up here. It's not loading. So the page has the correct sizing. I think bounds is just position included with size. Maybe what we need is for each of these text fields to be added to their own panel. So let's add let's get a JPanel text panel equals new JPanel. Okay, and the text panel will be the one to have its location changed and its bounds changed. And everything else should just fit into it. Okay, so if we add text panel, and within the text panel we'll add our text field. Okay, let's see if that changes how the labels look at all. It does, but not in the way that I want. So still not working right. So text panel, bounds, and location. Uh-oh, need to use these two. Make sure we got the right parameters in before calling it off. Yeah, that's still not doing it. So why not just... It's a bit tricky. Each panel is added to the text panel, or added to the page frame, which is actually a panel. So in this case, they've got a panel here. They got their frame, they got a panel, and they've got a button. They set the bounds on the button, 60, 50, 80, 40, and they add the button to the panel, and they add the panel to the frame. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing here. Not seeing why their button goes right where they want it. All the positions on my text field are being ignored. Let's undo this because I don't think, since that didn't work, I don't really want to add the extra panel if we don't need it. So what could be causing this issue? Setting the bounds. Using this first off, right? Is that a problem? Let's go back here. Let's try commenting both of those out and see what happens to the label. The label is just getting shoved in. Why? This works just fine by the looks of it. Really not getting it. Got our text field. So the button has to bounce 60-50. Then the panel, just 40, 70, 200, 200. And the frame doesn't even have any bounds or anything. It's just a window, so I guess it gives it a default size and then you can move it around. 40, 70, 200, 200. I mean, I could set the bounds on this instead of the size. Set bounds. And we'll do like 10, 10. 100. See how these numbers change things. So if we then make this like 255 and run it, so the panel is definitely moving within the frame. But the text in the panel is not. Now they set the bounds on both of these. I'm wondering if this is 40-70 or if like this is 40-70 and then this is plus 60-50 on top of that. This is 80 wide, right? So here, that's 40-60 is 100. So yeah, it's got to be 100. Should be adding these together. How about let's just set this to like something fixed. And we'll set this back to 10 here. Yeah, it's really not using my Y position here. Text field, set enabled, set text. Set all the alignment. Does it have to do with this? Is it because I aligned it to the right? Nope. Background, disabled text, font location, bounds, all of these things. It just seems to be ignoring it. This is rough. Not working. Worked fine within the frame, but not within a panel. We could just use the label since it's just text on its own anyway. I mean, that's basically what we're doing by creating a disabled text box. What does a label have for us? the set the bounds. Here, let's pretend that this is our label. Import that. And come on. Not 125 and not value count, but label count. See if that changes anything. After we resolve the error, yes, there's no disabled text color for that. I'll come back to the colors for that. I guess we got our default gray. It's disabled, I know, but still not taking the positions. It does look better though. We don't have the background, at least for now. We might need that text background box if we have some crazy background images that make it difficult to read. So depending on what we want for that, it'll be either a text field or a label. But setting that aside, I'm just not getting what's going on with the nesting here. Seems to be ignoring my my stuff on it. Is there something in the page frame, which is a panel, about add hierarchy bounds, key listener, mouse notify property, apply component bounds, check image, contains, count components, disable enable. Yeah, it's being set visible afterwards, so like it adds everything first and then makes it visible. We could make it visible to start with. I mean, we already know what's happening, right? It's adding it. Set the bounds. Is there anything else I've added in here that would like make it act weird? Horizontal alignment, I know. They just set the bounds and it just works. You just add it to the F here. F is the J panel. Panel is the page frame. Really, we don't even need the don't need to pass this in anymore. Because we already have it as a local. Okay, just run that to make sure the behavior is the same. Nested wing. Oh boy. That's a text field. Text field get X, text field get Y. It's like adding it like a list, like it's just sticking a box in a box. Like no. I do anything back in main with this? Page render, make child. Booklet frame is a child of page renderer. Yes. 600, 600. Layout is null. I don't know. I mean, it should be null by default, I would think. Change there. Ooh, lordy. The headache is creeping in. All right, I think it is time for a break, at least from streaming. I'll look at this a bit more off stream and hopefully come to a solution on this. Pretty stuck on that. I need to just kind of get into it. So let's take some notes here. So we got that working. We got the JSON loading, at least today. So it is loading from a file. We can add a bunch of pages. We can add a bunch of stuff. And then if we can get this loading, it should be easy enough to just enable and disable the visibility of an individual frame. If we just tie that to like a booklet renderer, we'll have a booklet renderer that contains a list of page renderers. And then all we have to do is, as we're going through the list of page renderers, just disable the one that we're currently looking at and enable the next one we want to look at. So that should be a pretty easy solution. The main thing right now is getting it to display properly. But yeah, I don't think it should be a problem. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it right now. It may be something totally obvious that I'm missing, but it may not become obvious to me until I'm not streaming. So I'll come back to this. I'll make a little bit of progress just to get this problem fixed at least, and then I'll probably come back to this tomorrow for another hour or so to hopefully wrap up the paging functionality. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Need to rest my eyes and my poor brain, which is just struggling with this right now. And maybe come back for some Skyrim later. And then do some coding tomorrow. I think that'll be it. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.